Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Hockey Hacks YouTube channel, a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network and the official podcast of Left Wing Lock, your number one source for fantasy hockey intelligence. I'm Devon Davidson. With me, as always, Bruce Gunther.
Hello.
Bruce, what's happening?
My split screen didn't work.
You gave it an honest effort.
I gave it an effort and it went, whoops, no, that's not going to work. So
Fair enough. Okay, so here we are. We had no hockey yesterday. Of course, we're going to get back to our game picks, DFS picks, prop bets. It's going to be a bit shorter today because no hockey to talk about yesterday. So I guess we'll just continue from there. There's maybe a couple news items we want to talk about. One being Mitch Marner being held at gunpoint for his vehicle.
good grief, what a way to end the season, right? You lose in game 7 and then some jackass holds you up for your Land Rover. Like, just
Yeah, brutal, absolutely brutal. As if things couldn't get worse enough in Toronto.
Jeez, it just, yeah.
And then the other thing I heard here this morning was Barry Trotz is apparently interviewing for the head coaching position in Winnipeg.
No surprise there.
Yeah. Well, you have to, right? If you're the Winnipeg Jets, you got to take some time and do your due diligence there.
Absolutely. You want to make sure that you get the right coach in there, and you might as well check everybody that's available, right? So,
yeah. Okay, should we kick it off, Bruce? We got a couple games tonight, some big ones.
okay, well, let's go.
Starting it off here, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. And you know what, Bruce? It's always good if I pull up my presentation, too.
I know, it helps.
All right, starting it off here, Tampa Bay plus 140 on the money line, Florida minus 160 on the money line. It actually favored Tampa slightly today. It moved back towards Tampa a little bit. So, yeah, well, for your purposes anyway. Mason Marchment will not play in Game 1 of the Battle of Florida. He was supposed to be a game-time decision. It was confirmed today he will not play. Braden Point is not going to play for Tampa, which obviously is a bigger blow.
Yes.
And I think really impacts Tampa's chances in this game. And it impacted some of my decisions in terms of DFS, which we'll talk about here shortly. But just a really quick recap, Florida has the better possession numbers. They had a 55.95 Corsi for percentage and a 55.97 shots for percentage in the first round. Tampa did not have great possession metrics against Toronto in the first round. Florida outscored the opposition 18-10, 5-on-5 for a 64.29 goals for percentage. Tampa was outscored 5-on-5, 12-13 for a 48 goals for percentage. Florida created fewer scoring chances, Bruce, than Tampa in the first round, but they also gave up far fewer. They had a 53.16 scoring chances for percentage. So, yeah, I will be curious to see if that carries over into this series and if we see Florida outshoot and outchance the Tampa Bay Lightning again. I think if Nick Paul is your second line center for any length of time, I'm concerned if I'm Tampa.
Possibly, but again, too, they could see his next man up, and away you go. Right, this is the time to shine,
as they say. No, and that's a very fair point. And Nick Paul's actually done well for them, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Tampa Bay special teams actually has the advantage here. So Tampa Bay's power play is 8th at 21.2%. Their PK is 6th at 85.7%. They have a combined special teams percentage of 106.9%. Florida, 16th on the power play during these playoffs, 0%, 0 for 18. That's going to be a big story, and they have to rectify that quickly if they hope to win this series, I think.
Definitely. They need the power play if they're going to win this series.
Yeah, so their PK is 12th at 70.8%. I mean, if they're doing well 5-on-5, it's a little less critical, but they still need to correct the special teams, in my opinion.
Yep.
They have the advantage on goal, at least on paper, Bruce. We've talked about that a little bit in our previews. So Bob's got a 2.79 goals against average and a 906 save percentage. Vasilevsky has not been himself. He's got a 304 goals against average and an 898 save percentage.
Yeah, well, you got to look at their competition they were facing too. I think the Leafs are a little stiffer competition than for Tampa. Then, well, I guess Washington was stiff competition for Florida, but they don't. Well, I guess
they're all good teams, right? We're talking about 100-point teams here all around. So, not a total shock, I guess.
Yeah, these aren't going to be 1-0 games. These some of these games have the potential to be very high scoring.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I mean, I saw a stat somewhere, something like 4 of their games this year had 7+ goals in them. So you may want to look at the overs. I didn't talk about them here today, but the overs may be something to look at depending on what kind of odds you can get on it.
Yep.
I do expect Vasilevsky to be better, though, to your point, Bruce, and he was very, very good in Game 7 for the Lightning against the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I think he'll be better, but I'm not sure if you look at the goaltending numbers here from the previous rounds, I don't know if they're going to be better. I have a distinct feeling that the numbers are going to get worse for both goaltenders.
Okay. All right.
I like you talked about earlier about taking the over. I am very certain that these games are going to go over. There's going to be lots of goals scored in this series.
It's going to be a fun series to watch. I think we're going to get lots of physical play. It'll be good.
I'll be very surprised if these are 1-0 or 2-1 games.
I agree with that. I just think that Vasilevsky in particular, even if there are more goals, he's going to be better than an .898 save percentage. That'd be my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Top goal scorer for Florida, surprisingly, was Carter Verhaeghe, 12 points, 6 goals. And the top scorer for Tampa was Nikita Kucherov with 8 points and 2 goals.
No surprise there for Tampa.
No. So, for me, I'm taking Florida minus 160 on the money line.
I'm going with Tampa.
Of course. You're staying true to your bracket, as you mentioned earlier.
My bracket. Yep.
Yeah. Plus, and if you can get Tampa at plus 140, even on the road, that's not a bad bet at all, Bruce, I don't think.
Yeah. I think in that game, I think the pressure is more on Florida than on Tampa. I think.
Yeah. I would agree with that, Bruce. Like, Tampa's been there twice. They won 2 cups in the last 2 years. So
yeah, they want to win 3, but when it comes to pressure, no one is expecting Tampa to win 3 games. There are 3 Stanley Cups in a row. No one is expecting them to do that.
No.
Where Florida, the way they had their regular season, they are expected to do well here in the playoffs. So we'll see how that plays into this as well.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Okay, next up, we got St. Louis versus Colorado. St. Louis being plus 190 the money line and minus 235 for the Avs. Torrey Krug is still dealing with an injury, so he will not be playing as far as I understand. Colorado, no surprise here, is the better possession team through round 1. 59.67 Corsi for percentage and a 58.37 shots for percentage. They outscored the opposition, being the Nashville Predators, 12-6, 5-on-5. St. Louis essentially broke even. They were 11 goals for, 10 against, for a 52.38 goals for percentage in the first round against Minnesota. And I think you have to be pretty happy with that, Bruce, right, given who they played in the first round?
Yeah, I would think so. The numbers are obviously going to be skewed in Colorado's favor just because they basically shelled Nashville out of the playoffs in the first round. And St. Louis wasn't tough with the Wild, but by the end of the series, they had pretty much beaten the Wild into submission. So it's no surprising Colorado's got the edge in numbers.
Colorado created nearly the same number of scoring chances as St. Louis in the first round, but gave up roughly 30% fewer chances. So they had a 62.69 scoring chance for percentage. And special teams lean towards Colorado at combined special teams percentage of 120, where St. Louis is sitting at 113. So both teams are actually very good on the power play. I think they're first and fourth. So first being Colorado, fourth for St. Louis, and then 10th for Colorado on the PK, and 7th for St. Louis on the penalty kill as well. So to me, they're gonna sort of nullify each other to some regard. But
I think this is another series where we are going to see some goals being scored. I don't think these are going to be 1-0 and 2-1 games. There's going to be some goals scored in this series too.
Are we going to see regular season Jordan Binnington again?
I sure hope not. For St. Louis's sake, anyway.
Yeah.
Both goalies are going to get scored on. These teams are way too talented to see this be 1-0 or 2-1. These are going to be like 4-3, 5-3, that type of thing.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, Bruce. Both teams can score goals. I like the depth on both teams here. The goaltending has been equally good on both sides. So Binnington has a 1.67 goals against average and a 943 save percentage through the first round. Kuemper at a 1.63 goals against average and a 934 save percentage. So I don't think it's really a significant advantage or disadvantage either way. Top goal scorer for Colorado's Cale Makar with 10 points and 3 goals. And for St. Louis, it's David Perron with 9 points and 5 goals. So I'm going to go with the home team here. If you want a little bit better odds, something with a little bit more juice, you can go with the -1.5 on the puck line at +105. And that line actually did move. It was at +115 this morning. So odds makers, I guess, tune that up a little bit, Bruce. But regardless, I'm taking the Avs.
Yeah, me too. I've got the Avs in this one too. I think the Avalanche are too good, and MacKinnon is motivated after last year. They'll get more of a challenge here with St. Louis, but I'm pretty sure the Avalanche are up for the challenge.
You like to see them finally break through, right? Like, this is a team that they should be making the Western Conference Final pretty much every season.
With their currents, absolutely they should be. Yeah, absolutely. They've got both goaltenders, so they've got Kuemper's back now. Is good to go. There is no reason why Colorado can be. The only reason why Colorado doesn't move on is because of Colorado. There's nothing else in their way.
Yep. Okay. Records to date. I'm at 32 for 51 at 62.75%. Bruce, you are at 26 for 51 and 50.98%. Looking to improve on that tonight.
Definitely.
And betting on Tampa and Colorado, it's hard to go wrong there. So
for sure.
Okay, prop bets. We're gonna talk about goal props first. Carter Verhaeghe, anytime goal, +170. Obviously, he was fantastic in the first round, 6 goals in 6 games. I believe 5 of those, Bruce, were 5-on-5. He's getting secondary power play time, but he's not relying on power play time. 21 individual scoring chances for, which is 8th league wide in the first round.
That's awesome. Like they needed somebody to step up there because the big guns in Florida just weren't producing in the first round, and he stepped up and delivered.
Yeah. So I like him tonight, anytime goal, +170. And then Nicholas Paul. So we talked about him earlier. I've got him for an anytime goal at +340. That is a juicy prop bet. 17 individual scoring chances for and 9 individual high danger chances for are 4th and 2nd, respectively, for the Lightning through the first round. So he's been very good for them, 5-on-5. If he's playing second line with Palat and Killorn, and he's also getting some second power play unit time as well, I wouldn't be shocked to see him score a goal at some point in this game.
That'd be nice.
There you have it. Shot props, Aleksander Barkov over 3.5 shots on goal at +120. He's averaged 3.66 shots on goal per game in the first round. Like we talked about lots, the possession numbers for Florida are good. They've got a 55.95 Corsi for percentage, and Tampa is below 50%. Sam Reinhart over 2.5 shots on goal at +105. I mean, I was trying to find just a plus bets on the shot props, and there weren't many. So Sam Reinhart over 2.5 shots on goal seems like a good bet to me. He averaged 2.66 shots on goal in the first round. And then goalie saves. Something different because there wasn't player specials today, Bruce, so we're going to go with some goalie saves.
All right.
I like Andrei Vasilevsky at over 29.5 saves at -105. Excuse me. Florida averaged 64 shot attempts and 33 shots for per game in the first round. So I think for Vasilevsky to make 20 or 30 saves is a fairly safe bet.
Yeah, I would say so because both of these teams are going to be firing the puck.
Yeah. And then Darcy Kuemper over 26.5 saves at -120. St. Louis averaged 55 shot attempts and 31 shots for in the first round. So 26.5 or 27 saves, pardon me, doesn't seem like a real stretch either to me.
No, I could see all four of these teams tonight putting up at least 30 shots. No problem at all.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to DFS picks here. I've got Ryan O'Reilly at center. He's been fantastic through the first round. He's been leading the way for the Blues. $4,300. The salary hasn't really reflected the performance yet to date. He had 16.95 fantasy points in round 1. So he really stepped up. I like Carter Verhaeghe, obviously, for the reasons we'd mentioned. His salary also does not reflect his performance to date. Cale Makar, I'm going to spend up for him just because he is the best defenseman on the slate, best defenseman in the league right now in terms of offense, at least. Darcy Kuemper, I'm going to spend up for him as well. I like his odds to win tonight, and he's averaging 16.3 fantasy points per game. And then Nicholas Paul for obviously his deployment tonight and his performance recently. And also he's a great value option at $2,900.
Most definitely.
In terms of a stack for tonight, I actually like the top line in Florida. So they've got Barkov at $7,400, Giroux at $4,600, Verhaeghe at $3,800, and Ekblad at $5,700. Take it away, Bruce.
Nice. So for my DFS picks today, so I, as you'll notice, there's a strong Colorado feel to this one. So at center, Nathan MacKinnon, $8,800. For wing, Gabriel Landeskog at $5,800. Defenseman, Cale Makar, he's pretty much stapled to my one defense slot for this playoffs. Goalie, Andrei Vasilevsky. Hope I spelled his name right. Goaltenders are going to have a rough time in both these playoff series, but I think Vasilevsky is going to be up for the challenge here. And Carter Verhaeghe for, well, we said before, he had a goal in each playoff game in the last series. I think that trend will continue through here. My stack, obviously, for today is MacKinnon, Landeskog, and Makar.
And I think, Bruce, just going back to Vasilevsky, you have to like that price point, too. At $7,700, I think he's a really nice option. He kind of reminds me of Shesterkin in the first round, where he was sort of undervalued in terms of his salary.
Yeah, I think his salary right now is more reflective of his numbers. So his numbers were down in the first round. So I think that's why his DraftKings salary is down.
Yeah. So
we'll see if that see how his performance goes and see if that trend continues.
There was one other stack I wanted to mention, and that was the St. Louis Blues. I know, obviously, you're going Colorado heavy here, and that just reminded me that I kind of liked the play of that top line with Ryan O'Reilly, David Perron, and then stacking him with Tarasenko. And that gives you exposure to the top 6 in St. Louis and also 3/5 of the top power play unit. And I think they're all reasonably priced. I'd have to go back and look, but to me it was sort of a bit of a value stack anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense because, yeah, like we said before, both these teams are going to score goals.
Well, and I think, too, I feel the way you do, Bruce, that Colorado's going to have a good game tonight and they'll probably win this one, and I think most people are probably feeling that way. The odds reflect that, and I think because of that, fewer people are going to play that stack in St. Louis, so that could be a nice option just to kind of go against the grain.
Definitely.
Okay, that does it for today. We managed to do it in under 20 minutes today, Bruce, so that's pretty good. If you haven't listened to our podcast yet, be sure to check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We just dropped a new episode this morning going over the round 1 highlights and round 2 preview. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at FHHacks, on Instagram at Fantasy Hockey Hacks. Check out our website, fantasyhockeyhacks.com. And Bruce, we will see you again tomorrow.
You sure will.
All right, take care, everybody.
Hey, goodbye.